Thousands of years ago, the world was filled with powerful kingdoms, great empires, and ancient civilizations. Humanity was searching for meaning, hope, and answers about life. In the land of Judea, under the rule of the Roman Empire, a child was born whose name would become known across the entire world: Jesus Christ. His life would become one of the most studied, discussed, and influential stories in human history. Before his birth, the region was filled with political struggles, religious traditions, and the hopes of people waiting for a new beginning. For many people, the arrival of Jesus represented a message of hope during a difficult time. He was not born in a palace surrounded by wealth and power. His story began in a humble setting among ordinary people. This simple beginning became the foundation of a movement that would spread across continents and shape civilizations for centuries. The story of Jesus Christ is not only a religious story, it is also a story about humanity, compassion, sacrifice, and the power of ideas. A story that continues to influence art, culture, history, and the lives of billions of people around the world. According to Christian tradition, Jesus was born in Bethlehem during the time of the Roman Empire. His mother was Mary, and his earthly father was Joseph. The stories about his birth describe a humble beginning, far away from the centers of political power. Jesus grew up in Nazareth, a small town where he lived a simple life. Little information is recorded about his early years, but historical and religious traditions describe him as someone who grew in wisdom and understanding. The world around him was one where ordinary people faced many struggles. Poverty, social divisions, and political control were part of everyday life. Into this world came a teacher whose message focused on love, forgiveness, mercy, and the value of every human being. When Jesus began his public life, people from different backgrounds came to hear his teachings. Some saw him as a spiritual leader. Others saw him as a figure who challenged the ideas of society. His words and actions would soon create a movement that changed the course of history. The central message of Jesus was about love, kindness, and forgiveness. He taught people to care for others, to show mercy, and to seek a deeper relationship with God. His teachings often focused on ordinary people, the poor, the forgotten, and those who were suffering. Jesus used simple stories and examples to explain complex ideas. These stories, known as parables, became some of the most remembered teachings in history. He spoke about compassion instead of hatred, forgiveness instead of revenge, and humility instead of pride. Many people were inspired by his message because it gave them hope and a new way of seeing life. His followers believed that his teachings were not only words, but a way of living. Over time, these teachings traveled beyond Judea and reached people across the world. The message of Jesus became the foundation of Christianity, one of the largest religions in human history. The final days of Jesus' life are among the most important events in Christian history. As his influence grew, tensions also increased among religious and political leaders. Jesus entered Jerusalem, where large crowds gathered and many people followed his teachings. Soon after, events unfolded that led to his arrest and trial. According to Christian belief, Jesus was sentenced to crucifixion by Roman authorities. His death became a central moment in Christianity. For his followers, it represented sacrifice, faith, and the promise of hope beyond suffering. The story of Jesus did not end with his death. His followers believed that he rose again, an event known as the resurrection, which became the foundation of Christian faith. This belief gave his followers courage to spread his message throughout the world. After the life of Jesus, his followers began sharing his teachings in different regions. The early Christian communities faced many challenges, but the movement continued to grow. Missionaries traveled across the Roman Empire and beyond, teaching about the life and message of Jesus. Over the centuries, Christianity spread throughout Europe, Africa, Asia, and eventually the Americas. Churches were built, writings were preserved, and communities formed around the teachings of Jesus. The influence of Christianity could be seen in education, art, literature, and the development of many societies. The story that began with a small group of followers became a global movement. A message that started in a small region of the ancient world reached millions of people across generations. Few figures in history have had an influence as wide as Jesus Christ. His teachings have inspired countless people to dedicate their lives to helping others. Throughout history, many movements, charities, and institutions were influenced by Christian ideas about service and compassion. The image and story of Jesus have appeared in paintings, music, books, and films across centuries. Different cultures have understood and represented his life in different ways. For Christians, Jesus is the central figure of their faith. For historians, his life is an important part of understanding the development of world history. His story continues to be studied because of its enormous influence on human civilization. More than 2,000 years have passed since the time of Jesus Christ. Empires have risen and fallen, generations have come and gone. But the story of Jesus continues to be remembered around the world. His message about love, forgiveness, and hope remains meaningful to millions of people. Whether viewed through faith or history, the life of Jesus represents one of the most significant chapters in human civilization. A humble teacher from ancient Judea became the center of a global movement. His story continues to inspire discussions about morality, spirituality, and the meaning of human life. This is the story of Jesus Christ, a story that changed history forever. Thousands of years ago, before the name Jesus Christ became known throughout the world, humanity was living through a period of great change. Powerful civilizations rose and fell, empires expanded their borders, and people searched for answers about life, purpose, and the meaning of existence. The land where Jesus would later appear was known as Judea, a small but historically important region in the ancient world. At that time, Judea was under the control of the Roman Empire, one of the strongest powers in history. Rome controlled vast territories, built great cities, and created a powerful system of government. But behind the glory of the empire, many ordinary people lived difficult lives. Many families struggled with poverty. Many people longed for justice, peace, and a better future. Religious traditions were an important part of daily life, and many people were waiting for a sign of hope and change. The Jewish people had a long history of faith, traditions, and stories passed down through generations. They believed in the importance of worship, prayer, and following the teachings of God. In this environment, expectations grew among many people for a new spiritual leader who would bring guidance and hope. Then, in the small town of Bethlehem, a child was born. His name was Jesus. According to Christian belief, his birth was not an ordinary event. Christians believed that his arrival had a special purpose, to bring a message of love, forgiveness, and salvation to humanity. Unlike kings and rulers who were born surrounded by wealth and armies, Jesus entered the world in a humble way. His early life was connected with ordinary people, simple places, and everyday struggles. As Jesus grew up in Nazareth, he experienced the life of a common person. He lived among people who worked hard, faced challenges, and searched for hope. This connection with ordinary people became one of the most important parts of his later teachings. Years later, when Jesus began teaching publicly, his message reached people from many different backgrounds. He spoke about kindness instead of hatred, forgiveness instead of revenge, and humility instead of pride. His words were simple, but their meaning was powerful. The story of Jesus Christ would eventually travel far beyond Judea. It would cross oceans, influence civilizations, inspire art and literature, and become one of the most important stories in human history. A story that began in a small corner of the ancient world would become a message remembered by billions of people for more than 2,000 years. The ancient world was filled with different cultures, languages, and beliefs. Great civilizations created remarkable cities, developed knowledge, and built powerful kingdoms. But even with progress and achievements, many people continued to search for something deeper, a message that could bring peace to the human heart. In the Roman-controlled world, power and authority were often held by rulers and armies. Ordinary people had limited influence over their own lives. Many experienced hardship and uncertainty, yet they continued to hold on to their faith and hope for a better future. It was into this historical moment that the story of Jesus Christ began. His life would not begin with political power or royal wealth. Instead, his journey would start in a humble environment among ordinary people. This became a unique part of his story, a message that greatness does not always come from position, money, or power, but from the impact a person leaves on the world. As time passed, the teachings and actions of Jesus would become a turning point in history. His message would inspire generations, influence societies, and become a central part of world history. The story of Jesus Christ is a story that began quietly, but its influence would reach every corner of the earth.